One night last week, when I got home from a busy night at the office, I struck up a conversation with my wife, Amy. It was more or less technical because part of my day-to-day operations is technical. But I also like to talk about Apple products, and my wife does not want to hear me talk about Apple products. I could tell she wasn't really paying attention because she started multitasking, and every now and then you would get the uh-huh, and I knew she just wasn't paying attention. If I was to quiz Amy on the conversation we had, she would fail. But the thing is, I failed in effectively communicating with my wife. As marketers, we're probably failing to engage with our email subscribers or maybe even on social. And if you have an open mind today, I'd like to talk to you about how you can use email marketing to effectively engage your email subscribers. Why is email marketing important, or why should you use email marketing? Well, first, it's 40% more effective than most other marketing channels. When it comes to direct mail and possibly even social, you're going to get more results. Email marketing has a 44-time ROI. And when I say that, you should be getting about $44 for every dollar you spend on email marketing, which is pretty powerful. 61% of people that use email marketing say email is a very important channel for them. And 83% of B2B companies use email marketing and find it to be really effective. What I'd like to do, since we're going to go over some technical and tactical items, and I'd like to go over the technical items first. It can get a little dry, so I want to kind of loosen up a little bit and have a little bit of fun. I need 2 volunteers. Come on up. Yes, if you could stand close to the projector. And I don't know if this is 3-point range or not, but we're going to try. Or you can come in front. I don't want to make it that hard. And what I want you to do is I'm going to make a hoop, right? And I want you to throw the ball into the hoop. Don't worry about hitting the microphone. It'll just make a noise. And if you hit me in the face, it's okay. I'll forgive you. What I want you to do is try to make it into the basket. Get 3 points. So decide who might go first and go ahead. All right. Want to try again?
They're very light. You got a wind pattern.
Now that you got a feel for how far it is.
Now we know.
Nice. Thank you very much. For participating, I want to give you both a copy of my book. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Would you say that was easy?
No, I thought I just signed for it.
Getting the ball in the hoop, was that easy? No. Pretty much when you're using email marketing, you basically say, I'm getting an email subscriber, or I have a list of subscribers. I'm going to send them an email. They're going to get it in their inbox. They're going to open it. They're going to read it, and they're going to buy from me. Is that how it goes? Right. One of the hardest things to do is to actually get your email into the inbox. And the point of the exercise was, it's hard to make a 3-point shot, but it's also hard to get your email into the inbox. When you send an email, your domain has something called a reputation. I like to call it a credit score. Whenever you send an email out, anything that happens with that email, an engagement or a lack of engagement, is either hurting or helping your credit score. A lot of the positive things would be opening it, which is a start, clicking in it. It could also be starring it, marking it as important if it's in Gmail, and Gmail has business apps, so if you're B2B, Gmail's still relevant. Any of those good signs help your credit score. Bad things like deleting, unsubscribing, or worse, marking your message as spam is actually hurting you and is pulling your credit score down. And to keep it simple, at some point when your credit score gets too low, a majority of your emails are going to go into the spam folder and they're not even going to be read. And maybe you don't clean your list often, and what happens is you'll notice somebody hasn't opened an email in 6 months, 8 months, or even a year But it's not that they're ignoring it, they're not even receiving it. With laws in the United States like CAN-SPAM and then CASL in Canada, and many of you may be familiar with GDPR, which is coming up next month, there are reasons that you want to make sure that you have permission to send emails to people. In other words, they have to opt in. There's fines if you don't. With CASL and CAN-SPAM, theoretically, you have to make sure you have a way of people to opt out of your emails. But with GDPR, you really have to make sure you have explicit consent from your subscribers to send them emails. They have the ability to say, I want to see all the data you have on me, and I want you to delete all that email as well. It's called right to be forgotten. And that's going to be enacted next month. And the fines are $10 million or 4% of your profit, whichever is greater. And some of you are probably saying, well, it doesn't apply to me because this is for the European Union. But if you're going to send or possibly send an email to someone that has a European email address, you could be held liable. So therefore, you see a lot of companies in the United States adhering to GDPR. So some possible cures or things you can do to help with email marketing is items I'm going to go over like avoiding traps and blacklists, some technical items in regards to your domain, content that you use, and then also list hygiene. When it comes to the negative actions that happen on your email, one of the most important ones is a complaint rate. When somebody hits the spam button, you want to keep that to a minimum. I like to say keep it around 1 per 1,000 recipients that you're sending to. Take a look at your reporting and make sure that you're hovering around that mark. And unsubscribe, you might say, well, I'd rather have somebody unsubscribe than mark my message as spam, right? Which, yeah, you definitely want to do that. But the email service providers or the recipient servers actually taking a look at how many people are doing this. And if it's a lot of people, that dings your credit score. And we're also talking about bounce rate or email addresses that do not exist anymore. If you purchase lists, first, shame on you. Second, it's probably going to have a lot of invalid email addresses. So what you want to do is keep your bounce rate at about 1 per 1,000 as well. Some of them may go as high as 3 per 1,000 as far as when they're going to judge you on that, but I like 1 per 1,000. All right, we're going to go over this in detail. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just putting this up here to show you how complex email marketing can be. There's things that are tied to your domain that are going to help you get into the inbox. And what you might want to do is talk to your technical team if you have one, or if you're using an email service provider like iContact or someone else, talk to them. There is a bit of information that sits on your domain called SPF, or Sender Policy Framework. And what that means is that another server has permission to send emails on your behalf. If you're using iContact, we have permission to send your emails. If you do not have the SPF record, what might happen is the recipient server is going to reject that email. Then you have DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail. That basically just says this message has not been altered throughout this transmission. It has not been hacked, touched, or changed in any way. Then the failsafe, or the end process that might be checked for by a recipient server, is called DMARC, which is Domain-Based Message Authentication Reporting and Conformance. That's a hard word to remember, but that basically says is SPF fails and DKIM fails, let's do this check over here, which is, I would say, optional with email marketing. So what do you need to do to successfully send out email campaigns? What you want to do is look at your text-to-image ratio. If you're sending out only text, that's okay, but if you're using images, do not use a lot or one single image in your email, because what will happen is your email probably will not get through. The rule of thumb is about 40% image, 60% text, or maybe one paragraph of text for every image that you have in your email. What happens is your email will get rejected if it's just one big image, because spammers try to get around filtering by putting overlays or words over the image so that filtering cannot catch them. That's why we have this text-to-image ratio. You want to make sure that your messages look great on the desktop, on a tablet, and on a mobile device. Most editors that you're going to use if you're using a provider are going to give you tools that will do this automatically. But if you have a team that designs your emails, make sure that they're testing how they look on different devices. Make sure that they look good before you send them out. Otherwise, the engagement rate's not going to be high because people are not going to want to read an email where they have to zoom in and out on their phone if it's only made for desktop. Next is email size. Now this is the raw size of your email. In other words, if you were to take the HTML of your email and put it into a text file and look at how large that file is, that's called your email size. Gmail is infamous for cutting off an email after about 100 and some odd kilobytes. And you might think that that's very little, but most of the emails I see are actually well below that. But if you go over that size, what happens is it gets truncated. At the bottom, it'll say message clipped, click here to see more. Important thing here is a lot of your content's going to be hidden, but more importantly, your unsubscribe link will not show, and people cannot unsubscribe. They're going to end up marking your message as spam. Subject lines are probably very crucial to get people to open your email, right? You want to make sure that you're not being misleading in any way. If you're saying something in your subject line and there's nothing about that bit of information in your email, it's going to cause problems and people will stop trusting you. There's something called a pre-header. This basically is the first bit of text in your email, and it can show as an extension of your subject line and help get more opens and more engagement. A simple example might be new product launched, and then the pre-header would be save 50% if you pre-order now. And that would be an extension of your subject line. Most of you have probably seen this before in Gmail or even in Outlook. It shows the first few lines of text. So play around with that and see how you might be able to use that to your benefit. Another diagram that I'm not going to go over. But basically, this says that recipient servers are filtering your email. It used to be people had hardware boxes at their office that they installed that would filter emails. Now companies use either hardware or software, or maybe even a hybrid of both. And the most important thing about it is these boxes talk to each other. And they're looking and they're filtering out emails, and it could be based on keywords, it can be based on content, it can be based on recipient. They can set a rule that says, if someone sends to more than 10 people in my organization at the same time, we don't want that email. Just drop it, we don't want it. If it has the word male enhancement drug, we don't want it. If their credit score is low, we don't want it. That's why it's important to learn about these spam filters and how you might be able to fare better in the inbox. If you send to an organization, business to business or business domain, and you notice that no one in that organization is opening, that's a signal that they're not accepting your emails. The only way around that is to get whitelisted. What you need to do is reach out to somebody at the company and say, hey, can you talk to your technical team and have us whitelisted if you really want my emails? Hopefully they do, because then they'll do that favor for you. Or maybe reach out to someone on LinkedIn and ask them to do that. But again, it's that trust factor. Do they want your email, and will they be your advocate to do so? That's the only way around if a company's really specifically blocking you. Or maybe try a different email from a different domain to try to get through in the beginning, and then say, if you really want my emails, please have us whitelisted. All right, when it comes to content, the first thing is it's got to be quality. You have to offer value. If you don't offer value, no one's going to read your emails. They're not going to open them. They're not going to share them. They're not going to click on links in there. These filtering technologies are also looking at your domain and checking the reputation of your domain. They're also checking other links in your email as well. If you link to another website, they're checking that link too. So be careful and make sure you look at what links you're using. And you might say, well, I'll just use a redirect link if my domain or another domain doesn't have a good credit score. They're also following that link all the way back to the source to see what's happening and what that domain reputation is. If you have broken links, that's also going to cause an issue and ding you. And a lot of spammers tend to use numbers instead of letters to get around some of these algorithms. And this next slide I put together, I basically took a list of commonly known spam words or a conjunction of spam words that filters may use. And it didn't fit on here. Only about 1/10 of this slide is going to scroll here. But as you can see, there's a couple of keywords that may get you in trouble. And it's going to stop probably about now, but that's about 1/10 of the slide. Now, you might be reading a couple of those keywords and say, I use those and I get through and I get opens. Well, yeah, what's happening is these filters are looking at your domain reputation, the content, your email size, and then some of the keywords. So you may be able to get through by using some of these, but these can slightly bring down your credit score, or maybe an organization is filtering on some of these. List hygiene is probably the most important thing you can do to improve your email deliverability or the ability to get into the inbox. What you need to do is if you send emails weekly or monthly, you need to check at least every 6 months or at least a year, check people who are not opening your emails because they're either not getting into the inbox or they're really just ignoring you. They delete it every time they get it. What you want to do is remove them from your list. Send them a series of maybe 3 emails, right? Don't just remove them because you don't know, maybe somebody does want your emails, but they're just tired of the relationship, right? Because you're not offering value. First email will be, are we breaking up? Question mark. I don't know about you, but if somebody's breaking up with me, I want to know why. And I'm going to open that email and I'm going to take a look at it. And what you'll say is, I noticed you haven't been opening my email. Do you still want to stay on our email list? Click yes to stay on, click no to be removed. Then what you'll do is check a few days later, maybe a week, and see if they opened the email, and if they didn't, send another one, and that's the second email. We're waiting to hear from you. Do you still love us? Question mark. And that email is going to be very similar. Do you want to stay or do you want to leave? And the last one is, this is it. We're breaking up with you. And then you tell them you're going to remove them from the list, and actually do that. Remove them from the list. If you have a lot of non-openers on your list, the first thing you're going to notice is your open rate's going to jump. Because those people have been dead weight for so long, they're actually skewing your numbers. If you want to look good to your manager, or if you have somebody you report to in marketing, do that and then show them the numbers. Maybe you'll get a raise. More importantly, what's happening when you do this is it's showing these servers, or if it's Gmail or any other ones like Yahoo, they're going to actually praise you for doing this because the amount of people you're sending to those servers are only engaged people. Therefore, they're going to say, maybe their credit score is getting better. Maybe we can increase that credit score and let them into the inbox more. There was a great term I heard, especially when it comes to Gmail. And every now and then, Gmail is going to say, we're going to let a little bit more of this domain's emails into the inbox and see how people react. Are they going to do more negative things, or are they going to do more positive things? And the term I heard was dead cat bounce. If you drop a dead cat, even though it's dead, it's still going to bounce a little bit, right? Because, I don't know, it just bounces a little bit because you dropped it. But that little lift is what you get coming off the ground a little bit. In other words, it's not rock bottom. They're giving you a little bit of leeway. When it comes to legislation like CASL, CAN-SPAM, and GDPR, I don't think that there's enough regulation out there, or marketers are not doing a great job doing the right things with email marketing. So with GDPR, we see changes are coming. Some stats I read is in 2016, the average inbox placement rate was 73% in the US, and that's down from like 84 from the year before. But with CASL, which is a little bit more stringent, those numbers have actually come up to about 90%. With GDPR, you're probably going to see some more increases in inbox placement. The bottom line is, if you're doing the right things, cleaning your list, setting your technical items, you'll find yourself more successful with email marketing. I had a conversation with a client named Gina a few months ago, and she was just using email marketing, and she would plan her content, create her content, put it into the system, schedule it to get sent out, and then she would analyze it. By analyze, I mean she would say, I'm going to take a look at my open rate tomorrow. Oh wait, I have a meeting. I'll do it Friday. And Friday would come around, and she said, oh, I'm leaving early. I'm going to the beach. And it turned into next week. So she really was delaying looking at how effective her emails were, and her follow-ups were just not there. I talked to her about marketing automation and how she can automate some of these processes to help her save time and have better engagement and better results and convert more sales. With marketing automation, you're going to be able to do a lot more things than just plain email marketing. Marketing automation is sending the right person the right message at the right time. It's as simple as that. I don't like to use stats, but then again, there's probably a lot of marketers here. We all love stats, right? So I put a couple in here. 79% of top performing companies use marketing automation. You can obtain twice as many leads that you can nurture by using marketing automation. 91% of people that use marketing automation say it's very important to their organization, and 88% of marketers spend less time on reporting and analysis and allow triggering to help them. 79% of leads never convert because of a lack of lead nurturing, yet 65% of marketers do not nurture leads. And only about half of companies that were surveyed are actually using marketing automation. By a show of hands, who's using marketing automation in the room? Probably a little bit less than 50% for this audience. Without automation, you're going to basically do a lot of manual work. You're going to create, you're going to analyze, you're going to keep doing testing, and you're going to look at the reports, and you're just going to keep doing that over and over. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. There's an untimely follow-up. As I mentioned with Gina, she failed to really look at her statistics and follow up with people that opened or maybe clicked an email. Maybe they're showing signals they want to buy, but she was late to the game. And then people who are not opening, she wasn't able to follow up with them effectively. With email marketing, you can do some personalization, but with marketing automation, you can do a lot more. You can inject so much more data into an email or create more triggers, creating a sense of personalization. And as I mentioned, there's no visibility into contact inactivity. For those of you who are probably using a general email marketing solution, if you want to take a look at everyone who has not opened an email in the last 6 months, you probably have to run an exhaustive report and analyze it and dedupe it maybe, and then follow up with your non-openers. With marketing automation, you could solve that headache by doing it automatically. With automation, you're going to be able to automate all those repetitive tasks you're doing, create some evergreen content or content that's going to be useful to put into your automation sequences, and create triggered events and do more personalization. It also integrates into social media, so you can automate some of your social media processes. And you can use landing pages to obtain leads and nurture those leads to a sale. You'll also be able to do the lead nurturing we were just discussing and also do something called lead scoring, which a lot of you probably know about, and I'll go over a little bit more about that in detail soon. But when it comes to marketing automation, do you think it's better to use drip marketing, or do you think it's better to nurture prospects? It's probably nurturing, right? With drip marketing, what you're doing is setting your sequence, your content set in stone, you're putting it on a specific date, and it's outdated. You really need to make sure that you're nurturing and sending the right message at the right time to the right person. What are some triggers with marketing automation? I like to bucket those into 3 different items, and the first one's going to be activity. You can look at what people are doing and what they are not doing with your emails or landing pages or social media. Are they opening your emails? Are they not opening your emails? Are they clicking? Are they not clicking? Those are just some examples. It could be date-based. In other words, I want to wait 3 days and check to see if somebody opened my email. And maybe I want to wait a week and do this particular action, either check for something or send an email. And then you can use data you have. It can be a birthday. Automate a happy birthday email to your customers or prospects. This way that it's automatically happening. You don't have to run a report and then do it manually. With actions on automation, you can simply send an email. You can do that with your email platform, but you can also do it with an automation platform. You can automate social media posting and monitoring. You can automatically segment people based on what they're doing. If they fill out a form on a landing page, you can segment them. If they take a certain action on an email, you can segment them and then follow up with them with pertinent information. You can add tags based on information or activity. If somebody fills out a form, you can tag them, say hot lead, or you could say spring 2018. This way you can easily find them later. And with marketing automation workflows, what you can do is remove them and add them to different lists and workflows. In other words, if I'm nurturing someone and they become a customer, I could turn around and then add them to a different workflow that tells them about my company and organization. Now that they bought from me, I want to tell them about what I do, my employees, what we do in the community, and maybe something else. And you can update information. if someone did this or I have this information, I want to update that in my CRM, which is part of your marketing automation platform. If you're struggling for some ideas for automation, first thing is white papers. Have a landing page that offers a white paper in turn for an email address. Usually, if you have a bit of information that somebody's interested in, they're at least willing to give you an email address. You can look at your non-openers and resend those emails of people that are not opening. In other words, don't waste cycles of just having somebody go through a sequence. Make sure to send an email, wait a few days, check to see if they open, and if they didn't, resend that email. Lead scoring. Lead scoring is a way to identify hot leads or to detract points from someone and make them a cold lead. So if you have a form and they fill it out and the first name's Hank, you can give them 50 points because the first name Hank's awesome, right? And then what you could do is if Hank opens an email or anyone opens an email, you can give them 50 points. Now they're up to 100. And if somebody visits the website or a specific page on your website, you can give them 100 points. What you could do is once somebody reaches 200 points, you can take an action. You can email them, you can physically pick up the phone and call them. Hey, your first name is Hank, you opened my email, you clicked on the email, and you visited my website, you have to be ready to buy, right? You could do that with lead scoring. You can also deduct points based on negative actions. If they're not doing something, you can reduce points. You can promote webinars. We were talking about content earlier. If you're running webinars, you can say, I'm going to run my webinar a month from now. So what I want to do is every Friday, I want to send an email out reminding people about this webinar, get them to sign up. A week before, I want to send an email to remind the people that registered that they need to attend. In the morning of, I'm going to remind them again, just because people get busy and they need to get reminded. Events are going to be very similar to your webinars. So I won't go through that one. But you can promote your blog content. When you publish a blog article, you can automate that, send that out to your subscribers. This way they're in the know and they can read that blog article. You can automate that re-engagement campaign we discussed earlier. Just put it in, set it, and forget it, right? Because that content's probably going to stay evergreen. Those subject lines and that content, just automate that so that your list always stays clean. I like this one, topic workflows, and I alluded to that earlier. What you might want to do is put a sequence together of someone that shows interest in your organization. You're going to send them those emails that tell them about what you do, who you are, who your employees are. Or maybe they buy a product or service from you, and you can send out informational emails to them over time. This is how you use your product. Here's an introduction to it. And then 3 days later, it's here's how to do a little bit more, so on and so forth. And if it's a service, it's here's how you take advantage of all the services we have, and you could try to upsell. You can facilitate renewals and reorders through marketing automation. You have those dates of when somebody needs to buy from you again. Why not use that in your automation product? And then you can send out surveys automatically. If somebody does something specific, you could trigger a survey to go out. Then when that survey comes back, you could take some of that information and update the contact in your CRM or automation product. Here's a simple workflow that I wanted to keep kind of just average because everybody probably does something a little bit different here in the audience, but you get a lead, which is your audience. You send out a welcome email. It's important to send out a welcome email to embrace people into the fold because what happens is if you don't send an email out right away, people are going to forget who you are, especially if you're a B2B sales. If I meet with you and get your email address, and I don't email you for a week or a month, you may not even remember who I am, and you're going to delete the email or maybe even mark it as spam. So send out that welcome email and say, this is what you can expect from us. Here's how often you can receive emails from us. And if you want to opt out, you could do so at any time. Then you'll wait maybe 3 or 4 days, and you're going to send an email with an emotional appeal. Will you please buy from us? We need money. No, it's something emotional that's going to tug at their heartstrings and make them want to have a relationship with you or buy from you, right? Then you're going to wait and you're going to say, did they open that email? Check, maybe 5 days later, I'm going to check to see if they opened that email. And if they did, what I'm going to do is send them a differentiator email. This is what differentiates us from our competitors. Please buy from us. Or maybe they did not open the email. You can send a differentiator email, but also include some of the content from your emotional appeal. Why? Because they didn't open that one, and you know that. Then you're going to wait a few more days. You'll send an email with some testimonials from your wonderful clients, If other clients are speaking well of you, somebody else probably will want to do business with you. And then again, you're going to wait and you're going to send an incentive. I've been hassling you for weeks now and you won't buy from me. What if I offered you a discount? So you offer that discount or an incentive, or maybe it's a free lunch, whatever it is that you guys do to incite people to buy, go ahead and do that. And then you could see if they are a customer. So at some point you're going to check, did they buy from me, yes or no? And if they did, what you can do is send them to another workflow that's an upsell. So maybe you sell another product or service that complements what you just sold them. Add them to that workflow. Or maybe they did not and it's been some time and they've been in a workflow long enough. Send them into that re-engagement workflow so you can try to get them back into the fold, and if not, remove them so that it increases your domain credit score. What I want you to do is have a strategy, plan your strategy, create content for your planned strategy, then you're going to test and analyze and go back and make some tweaks to your messages, to your workflows, so that they're optimized. Only those that love you can endure you, and my wife can testify to that. If I can alienate my wife in under 3 minutes with a conversation about technology, just think how your subscribers feel if you're not really creating engaging content or actually getting into the email. You're going to fail as a marketer. Therefore, I hope the information I shared today is going to help you write your own prescription and be successful when it comes to email marketing, or if you choose to, use marketing automation. Thank you.